I'll do one more interview and then change the battery out. Hello there.
Hi.
How are you today? Good. Do you have time to do an interview?
Okay. What about?
I'm out here practicing street epistemology.
Hi.
Have you heard? Hey, Mia, right?
Yeah.
Good to see you. I hope to talk to you again.
Of course.
Sorry. I talked to her a couple weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
So street epistemology is where we take a claim that a person makes because they tend to think that it's true,
Okay.
and then question them about what it is that they think is
Okay.
true, why you think it's true,
Mm-hmm.
and then how did you conclude
Yeah.
that reason or those reasons warrant being very certain that it is true.
That sounds interesting.
It is fascinating. Normally, and my preference honestly would be to have
I'm just gonna face this way because of the sun.
sure, in fact, yeah. Well, that you're still going to be in the sun there.
Well, it's not my eyes.
True. What was I going to tell you? Oh, ideally, this is something that would just come up naturally in a conversation, but I'm initiating talks
Yeah.
to get people to make a claim so that I can respectfully challenge
That's
it.
interesting,
And
yeah.
ideally record it and that type of thing. So I don't know if you're interested or not of doing that.
Okay.
Yeah? Okay, thank you so much.
fine.
My name is Anthony.
I'm Blair.
Very nice to meet you. Are you okay if I record this?
I'm good.
Okay, I've got a second camera up there. You good with that?
Yep.
And while I'm setting up the cameras, and we might get a glare on this one because of the sun, but hopefully,
Do we want to move?
maybe.
That guy there.
How about could you move in the shade there,
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll
perhaps?
stand here.
You get a little shade there? Is that
I'm
okay?
good, yeah.
You good? Okay, I don't want you to burn to a crisp.
Oh yeah, these will transition soon. They're transition lenses. It just takes time.
Okay, yeah, in fact, they seem like they're getting lighter now.
They should be getting darker.
Oh, okay.
See, they're usually clear.
Oh, I
These
see.
are-
They
these
were
are
lighter
regular
when you were in the
glasses.
shade there now.
They were lighter, and now they're getting darker.
Okay. So the idea here is to take something, ideally it's something that you are very sure is true to the point where it motivates you.
Yeah.
Maybe you think pagan goddesses are real and you want to cast a fertility spell on your friend so that she can get pregnant. Or
That sounds so silly.
really?
Like, I know there's people that believe in that stuff, but I just don't.
Some people think that there's a higher power.
Yeah, I'm
So-
not one of those people.
Okay. Some people think that guns on campus are a great idea or a horrible idea.
Ooh, there we go.
Do you want to check? You want to tackle that
there
one?
we go. That sounds like something we could debate about for ages and ages and ages.
How do I spell your first name, Blair?
B-L-A-I-R.
Okay. And my name is Anthony. I'm not sure if I told you that or
Yes,
not.
you did.
Okay. Do you want to talk about guns?
Sure.
Okay.
My dad is a gun owner. He has a large collection. I became, kind of a gun owner when I was 12. He bought me mine. It's a .22 rifle. I don't carry it on me for obvious reasons because that's not concealable.
In Texas, what's the law about? Can you carry a concealed weapon now here?
If you have a permit, if you have a proper license/permit, I'm not sure the proper term, you're able to conceal a weapon.
Okay. Even on a campus like this?
I think a law was recently passed saying that you could. I remember on my transfer campus, Vista, there was signs saying no concealed carry in these rooms.
Okay.
So
I
there
noticed
was-
that in the library. I think.
So
like
I
to the
think-
entrance
I
to
think
the
it's-
library, you can't bring it in there.
Yes.
You
So,
could legally have one
I
on.
could legally, if I had a permit, I could have one in my bag or something if I wanted to. I don't because I don't have a handgun. Because it's hard to conceal a rifle, obviously.
I have seen images of people walking around with rifles through campuses.
Really?
I don't know what
haven't.
state it is.
I haven't.
Oklahoma, maybe? I'm not
In
sure.
some cases, it might be an ROTC member carrying.
No, I don't think this was a woman who was just strutting around with like a.
Maybe I
It
don't
looked
know.
like a semi-automatic rifle.
I don't.
Are there some weapons that you would be comfortable carrying around a campus and some that you
I
wouldn't?
mean, like if it's a semi-automatic rifle, I don't think it has a place on a college campus because that's far beyond the realm of self-defense. But like a simple point-and-shoot handgun is completely different. That could easily disable a shooter, rather than like shooting 15 or 20 rounds a second. That's just not necessary. I'm very opinionated.
No, I love it. So I think your view is
There is a time and a place.
for these weapons.
There is a time and place to have a weapon. There are certain ones that are acceptable, but some aren't or should not be welcome on campus.
If we could boil your claim statement down to a tweet, how would you phrase it? What is Blair thinking on this issue at this moment? If you can make a
It's a tweet,
declaration,
180 characters.
I think it's 280 now.
280. Yeah, used to be 140.
Brief, basically. I'm just asking
brief,
for it.
yeah. In brief, the only reason that a weapon should be on campus is for the use of self-defense and nothing beyond that.
Okay. In your view, it's okay to let guns on campus?
I mean, it's a useful tool. It's a tool.
Mm-hmm. Provided that they be used for self-defense only.
Carrying on campus, it goes without saying that they would have the proper training. They would have the proper permit to carry. Because my dad, I know, has worked hard to maintain and, like, he went to classes and stuff to get his permit. And honestly, if you don't have a permit or the proper training, you shouldn't be around a gun. And
okay.
It's just, that's my opinion.
So, in your view, handguns, or I don't know what specific guns we're talking, we'll just call them guns for now.
Yeah.
Guns should be allowed on campus, provided that they be used for self-defense only, the person have a permit, and that person be trained.
Yes.
Okay.
Training is a requirement to get the permit, I believe. So it goes without saying. But, yeah. Regardless of what kind of weapon it is, there should be a government, like, regulated, like, form of licensing and permit. And it should be, like, a certain amount of background checks go into it.
Okay. What would change your view on that stance?
I'm already kind of doubting my stance because of how many mass shootings, like the one that was in New Zealand recently. And, like, gun control is a major thing, but having weapons in able hands, it can be used for self-defense. It can help if there is a shooter on campus.
Yep.
It would be a lot safer for someone who has a gun to be able to take out the shooter rather than the shooter massacring people on campus.
Are we talking about, like, the response time is a factor? Is that what you're talking about?
Kind of, yeah. But it's like, there's a difference between, like, I'm sounding illogical now. Something my dad always argues is that if, like, he always brings up, like, a church, right? A church situation where there's people in rows all over the place. They're all in one space.
They're all facing one direction
They're
usually.
all except for, like, the priest on the altar. They're all facing towards that altar. If someone came in the back and started shooting, there'd be no way to stop him until a policeman was able to get there. But if someone in the parish had a gun, they'd be able to take him out pretty much instantly. It'd be a lot less time for damage to happen.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think that seems kind of straightforward, where if you had a weapon on you right now and there was a shooting, you would probably be able to respond minutes
And it'd be
before somebody,
like, there's
trained law
not
enforcement.
a campus officer in sight right now. There's not. So if someone pulled out a gun and started shooting and I had a handgun, I'd be able to pull it out and stop them.
Not everyone shares your view.
That is obvious. Like, that's definitely true, yes.
So what is their main argument against your position that you think is valid?
A lot of people think that guns are bad, which, I mean, it's valid. If they're in the wrong hands, they can be used for horrible things. And a lot of people think that strict gun regulations, like, no one should have a gun.
Complete ban.
Yeah, completely banned. Like,
Are you raising this because you think this is a good argument of theirs?
It's an argument. And I mean, there's faults in every argument. I can come up with one right now, is that only the people who want to do bad things can illegally get a gun.
Can you come up with a fault in your own argument?
Of course.
What is it?
Like, someone who wants to do bad things can get a license and own a gun.
I see. Somebody could say, you know what? I'm actually a little reluctant to actually say this out loud, just in case somebody overhears me. But I'm thinking,
lower the volume.
yeah, if I was like, I want to do a massacre at a church or a school or something.
Yeah.
All I have to do is get a permit, get trained, get some weapons.
Do some minor training.
There's nothing
that's not that expensive.
If I got stopped on campus with a weapon, I'd have everything to justify my being there.
And, like, that's like the main issue with my point is bad people can do the right thing and get, like, the proper paperwork and be justified, and like there's nothing to justify, like, going out and actively hurting people, like, unprovoked. And there's, like, no justification for that. But a bad person who wants to do that could easily go through the right channels, go legally get a firearm and bring it on campus, and not be able to be questioned because it's legal.
Well, what does that do to your position then? If it could be so easy to circumvent?
I mean, like, I'm firm in my position. There should be people who are trained properly, who are morally sound, and who are mentally sound, that own guns and are free to carry them if they want to. Because if a shooting does happen, it could take a long time, a relatively long time for a police officer with a gun to come and help.
I think now we're back to the response time again.
Yeah, to response time.
So response time it seems like it's a big factor here.
That's the main thing. Because
response time is the main thing driving your view.
Yes, it is. Okay. Because if a cop isn't able to help, but someone else, but a civilian is, someone who, an armed civilian, if they're able to help, that's meaningful. Because like 5 minutes can mean a ton in a school shooting. It can mean like 100 lives.
Would there be any downsides to a third of the student population and maybe even a third of the staff opting into concealed permit carry?
Well, I mean,
sure, the response times would probably drastically go down to respond to some sort of event. Could there be are there any risks? Are there any downside with doing that?
Of course.
What do you think?
I mean, whenever there's a weapon involved, there's danger. Like, I remember my first semester of college, it was right after the law was passed that allowed it. My teacher was very concerned.
That allowed what, to be specific?
That allowed concealed carry handguns on campus.
Okay.
That was my first semester in college, fall of 2017. And one of my professors was very concerned that if we had our bags on the table and if someone had a handgun, and she didn't know, she wasn't allowed to ask if someone did, but if someone had a handgun, that it would accidentally go off. It was like, you don't know if someone has a handgun, you don't know if the safety's on, you don't know if it's loaded, there's no way to know, because she was not allowed to ask.
The teacher was not allowed to ask the students if they were carrying?
I believe so.
Okay.
I don't know the ins and outs of the law.
Is this a school
That was
rule?
Northwest Vista College. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm wondering if this is a state.
I'm not sure if that was the law or the school policy. I'm not sure.
Okay. How did she deal with it?
She said all bags must be on the floor, not on the table and not on a chair, because it's easier to recover if you're shot down here on your ankle than if you're shot here in your vital area. But like I can see like that becoming a more important issue if more people carry on campus.
Sure, because with the bag being on the floor, maybe there's a greater propensity to actually kick the bag, trip over it.
But at the same time, it's minimizing the injury by having it on the floor, because you're not shot in the heart, you're shot in the leg. Still painful either way. Still not ideal. In an ideal world, we wouldn't have shootings, and it wouldn't even be an issue. And in an ideal situation where campus carry is required, everyone who does it would be properly trained and
oh wow, I didn't even think of that. There could be a law passed to make it required. In order to attend this university, you need a permit.
I don't think that's necessary. I'm saying like in an ideal world where campus carry is required, like is a thing, like where it's needed because of school shootings, like in that kind of situation, it'd be ideal for everyone who chooses to carry to have proper training, proper permit, understanding that safety needs to be on, like regulating safety, regulating whether or not the gun's loaded, regulating how much ammo is on a person. It's like that could help prevent mass incidents as well.
How would that be enforced?
I mean, it'd probably just be honor code at that point, but if you get caught with something, they'd enforce it that way, face either academic or law punishment for having either too much or not securing your gun properly.
I'll ask you this one more question, we can wrap it up, because I feel like I'm holding you up too long.
That's fine.
Okay, thank you. Can you think of an optimal solution to all of this? Is there something better that you can offer that might supersede everything that we talked about?
Really not an optimal solution based on our government climate, because no one wants to outright ban guns, especially in Texas, because guns are such a huge part of our culture, like hunting and stuff. But optimally, more strict gun control would be ideal, and more enforcement of making sure guns are secure at home, because when I was a kid, I had access to my dad's guns if I wanted. He didn't have them in a gun safe until I was diagnosed with depression. So
would you do something different with your kids?
Yeah, if I chose to become a gun owner when I move out, I would have everything secure. They would not have access to it. The only reason they know it exists is because I would teach them how to properly handle a gun in an emergency.
Gotcha.
Guns are important. They're an important tool. They're a great method of self-defense if needed. And honestly, it's a great way to get food if you're in a pinch. I'm from in the hill country, so we did that a lot.
What did you normally hunt?
Venison. We got
Is that right?
Deer.
Really?
Venison jerky is amazing. Only when it's done right.
The prep time, though, is probably involved,
The prep time is dumb. But my uncle makes the best venison jerky. He has this special seasoning that he uses. He kept it secret, but it tastes delicious.
Well, I really appreciate exploring that highly charged topic. And I thank you for stopping to explore that.
I think I have a kind of middle view on it, honestly.
Yeah, actually, if this ever gets posted, I would imagine there would be people who would be very pro-gun, pointing out flaws in what we just discussed, and on the other side.
Sure. There's flaws in every argument, especially with such a controversial topic.
Yeah, and it was really nice talking to you about a sensitive topic without it getting heated, and that was really cool.
Yeah, it's nice to talk about something without getting heated.
Isn't it? Well, actually, that might be one reason why you want to look into street epistemology a little more. I'd like to give you that. This is the conversational technique that I was using with you, is to ask you questions and dig deeper.
Asking questions and not escalating a conversation.
Right. Getting to the foundation of what's propping it up. It actually sounded like culture at the end there. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it almost sounded like the culture that we're in the culture that we're currently in might actually be preventing us from coming up with a more optimal solution.
That is definitely true. Because, I know that my family, I was raised gun in my hand, pretty much. I was taught to hunt for my own food because in the hill country, you don't always have electricity.
Not everyone is raised in that environment, so I think I could understand why.
We don't always have electricity. We don't always have access to milk and stuff. So we wouldn't always have access to meat, so we'd go hunt our own if we needed it.
Yeah. All right. Well, the idea here, I don't know if I mentioned at the start. Optimally, I'm looking to have 3 conversations with the same person on the same topic. Okay. It doesn't have to be. We can shift topics. We can shift to if you think that there's a higher power, or we can talk about
abortion.
That's
a very controversial.
Talk about all that stuff in the exact same Socratic way,
same kind of method.
Yeah, because I'm hoping that when you walk away, maybe you actually have a better view of your own position.
I do. Okay. I think I do. Yeah.
Okay, good.
I'm more aware of the flaws that my own argument has as well.
And that's perfect, actually, because if we are holding views of reality and the foundation is flawed, or the reasons maybe are not as solid as we thought, maybe we need to take another look at our position. So I'd like you to, if you'd like, take a gift. One of these pieces.
Blue.
Going for blue.
Matches
your shirt.
Oh, it is squishy.
It is squishy. And if you see me out here again alone, you want to come back for a second talk and a third talk.
Yeah.
We can keep talking about guns, abortion, God. You know what's interesting is I find that the God belief.
I was raised hyper-religiously, and now I consider myself atheist, so that's going to be an interesting discussion.
Yeah. Yeah, I talked to a lot of atheists here too, and a lot of God believers. But what I was going to say is that views on politics, abortion, guns...
They often go hand in hand.
They often go hand in hand with the God thing, the God one. So I'm actually a little curious now where you stand on those other topics.
Yeah.
But in the effort of trying to keep this brief, I think we should end it, process the conversation. Yeah, we'll meet up another day. If the weather's good, and this is just a gorgeous day.
I'm on campus Monday through Friday every week.
Oh, wow, you're going to be here more than me. So, yeah, I'll usually just be out here for a couple of hours.
I'm doing 15 hours. I'm an English major, so that means a lot of papers and a lot of reading.
Yeah.
I signed up for it.
Can you sit outdoors and do some of that?
I can, but I burn so easily that I don't.
Okay. Well, I hope you didn't get too burned here doing this.
Oh, I'm good. I'm covered.
Okay. All right, cool. Well, thank you. You have any questions for me?
No. This is actually really interesting, though.
Well, I hope you look into it more.
I saw you sitting at the camera. I was like, what is he up to? I want to talk to this guy.
Well, I appreciate you stopping.
Yeah.
Okay. See you around.
Yep.
Thanks again. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. You have a good day.
I hope you do too. Thanks, Blair. So there's blue, red, yellow.
What color do you want?
The blue.
Yeah, I was going to say blue.
Do you mind if I ask why you selected blue?
Why I selected blue?
Why
Blue's my favorite color.
Blue's your favorite color? And you can't see the color blue?
Well, since I used to be able to see it.
Wow, that's fascinating. Okay.
So I still like.
Is that interesting?
See, because I would have gone for yellow.
Take the yellow.